I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for the PB Church. As we always say, the PB Church is, you'll never attend a church like PB Church ever. And so they never ask for money. They don't want you to stop going to the current church you're going. And so Tim is a normal Christian, so he's participating today. And so he came to PB Church today to what I'm sorry, what remind me, what did you say you wanted to do here?
What I want to do here?
Well, no, I said, what did you want to accomplish or something?
What I want to
So what Tim
accomplish
said,
today
he
is to
doesn't,
rest up.
yeah, rest. So he's coming to church to rest. So he thinks PB Church is like every other church, and you just come and you just rest. I get it, I understand. Um, and it's fine. Um, if I do stuff, will it bother your rest? Will it disrupt your rest? I mean, I don't want to, because I can just do stuff. I'm not working because you don't work on Sunday, obviously, as a Baptist. Like, ooh, that would be wrong. But I'm not making money on it. So is it really work? I mean, it seems like it's work to me. But, anyways, like is, if I just work and I won't even talk, I'll just I got stuff that that I'm doing here that is fascinating to me.
What are you doing, Mark?
Thanks for asking. Oh, okay, so here we know that there's a gap, a dimensional gap from one dimension to the next. Okay, now you might be thinking, this doesn't sound like church. I told you at the beginning, this is different than any other church. Like, churches don't want you to go ahead and make dimensional jumps. I mean, they just want you to stay where you're at. True story. Do you know why that is, Tim?
What's the story behind that?
Well, any organization, here's what it is. Any organization, any group of people, like in Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity. Are you familiar with that one?
Mm, is
Go
that the
back.
guy that grew up in Nazi Germany era?
Yeah, yeah, that's the one. So he
I've
said
heard of
that you're
him.
more likely to be stupid when you're part of a group than when you're alone. So if it's right, I'm more likely to be stupid since you're on, or you're more likely to be stupid since I'm on, because there's two of us rather than one of us. Anyways, not sure, but anyways, so leaders in a group. This is why PB Church is so unusual. It doesn't have any leaders. It's a leaderless organization, and so leaders in a group want people in the group to go ahead and be productive enough where the leader doesn't have to go ahead and support those that they're leading. They want those that they're leading to support them. Make sense?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think that was a hard It gets harder. It seems
I'm
like
trying
if
to
you never
read
thought of
your
this, especially if you want to,
one, two, three, four.
if you want to really rest, like this doesn't seem like resting. So I can just work. You ask what I was working on, so I can
Well,
just
I'm a
work.
double analytic, and if I rest, I actually consume information. That's
Interesting.
like eating sugar for diabetic people.
Interesting. Okay, so the leader wants you to be productive enough so that you don't drain them or the group, but they don't want you to be too productive, because if you're too productive, what's going to happen? What's going to happen potentially to the leader?
Would he be out of a job or what?
Right. He'll get pushed out. Now, you might go ahead and say, well, I mean, do you think like the Amish, you're Amish, so do you think the Amish are a leaderless organization?
No.
Right?
From that point of view,
Right?
far from it.
Right. It's fascinating because, they don't have paid pastors, which I agree with. I agree with that. I think that's a good thing. But, there's some other, yeah, anyway. So they don't want you to go ahead and become too strong because then you threaten their leadership. Make sense?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a new perspective for me.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't know if you'd thought of that before, but yeah, I realized that a few years back when when I seemed to get stronger and stronger. And so, you've heard where nobody said that I was smart until I turned 40, not even my mom. And then everybody started telling me how smart I was. When you've gone 40 years, nobody, not even your mom, telling you're smart, it's a little bit of a new experience when people tell you that you're smart. You're like, what? Like, I don't think I am. And then all of a sudden I became more powerful because I know how to, I know how to go ahead and control other people's feelings. Like, and they actually like me to control them. That's kind of fascinating. Um, they like they like it. Anyways, but then I became too powerful very quickly. And then all the leaders of groups started kicking me out of their groups. I'm like, dang, what's going on here? What? And it's because I became too powerful for them. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is this is a fractal, okay? So like a snowflake, it's a fractal. There's a pattern. And so here you have the dimensions and you're going up. So the straight line is dimensions going up, you're growing. You'd think, like, the church, you'd think they'd want you to grow, but they don't. But in PB Church, they do. They want you to grow. That's the whole purpose of PB Church. Like, the whole purpose is to grow. But in normal churches, they don't want you to grow. So they don't want you to grow. And so, not beyond a certain point. They want you to get to a certain point. They don't want you to go ahead and grow to the next level. Now, if pastors or bishops, some people will say, what's the PB church? And some call it the pastor bishop church because every pastor or bishop needs a church where they can actually be honest. And that people are honest with them. So nobody's honest with pastors and bishops. It's the weirdest thing. Like it's so strange. Questions?
Is this just a no, no? Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now we go back to this. So there's this gap here. And I've known about this gap for, I don't know, 12, 14 years, a long time. But what I didn't realize until a couple weeks ago is there's something invisible here that I can see. But I can't see it, but it's there. Have you ever looked under a microscope?
Mm-hmm.
So isn't it cool to
Yeah, it's
look under a
amazing.
microscope? Yeah, right. Right. So a lot of Amish, I ask, have you ever looked under a microscope? And they're like, no, which is fine. But it's amazing. You're absolutely right. It's amazing. Like it's amazing. It's like you go ahead that you peer into another dimension. You peer into another dimension. And so when somebody says your desk is moving, you're like, they're lying. It's not moving. But if you have a strong enough microscope, you can actually see that your desk is moving in another dimension. Anyways, so there's something that is hidden in here that I'm looking for. And I've been looking for it for a couple weeks. And I woke up this morning like at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had all these ideas that were so crystal clear, but I have rules and Stan Lambert, he distracted me this morning with a whole bunch of cool emails, which are fascinating. Fascinating. So most people in the PB church can't handle more than a week or two. Some handle a few months, but few people, they're not going to be as consistent, obviously, as me. I am not the pastor of the PB church, and I am not the leader of the PB church. Again, as we've said before, it's a leaderless organization. So, anyways, this here is what I could work on. If Tim wants to take a little break and rest and relax, he can do that because this is what I'm working on. So, here we have, so you move up a dimension. So you're going up a dimension, you're growing, something that most Christians say they're doing, but it's like, are you really? It doesn't seem like you are. Just say, but that's the beauty of it. If you're with a whole bunch of other people that aren't growing, you're not really growing. You're just moving from one place to another. You're just moving. Ooh, that's another thing. Ooh, that's another thing. Ooh. So I'm going to work. This is going to be a working session and something else. Okay. So where is the crab in the bucket principle? Where is that? Ooh, that's a good one too. I should take that one too, I think. So again, this one, didn't prepare as much as what I wanted to. Okay, so there's the crab in the bucket. Ooh, I got a twofer here. Okay, so copy that. So these are from 14 years ago, Tim. Pretty fascinating, huh? I thought so. Are you familiar with the crab in the bucket principle?
No, sir.
So I discovered this when I was out at the Lakota Indian Reservation in South Dakota. And so I was in a teepee with Indian chief. And so the Lakota Indian Reservation in South Dakota is it is the poorest county in all the United States, anywhere in the world, or anywhere in the United States. It's the poorest county. And so it's crazy out there. And so he said, Mark, we Lakota Indians are like crabs in the bucket. And I said, what does that mean? He says, when one crab's getting out, all the other crabs pull him in. And I thought, that's fascinating. I've never heard that before. I could see that how that applies to Baptists too. That's what I'm saying about where people don't want you to grow because you'll get out of their bucket and go into another bucket, or forbid the thought, forbid the thought that you're going to be alone. Like with God, all you need is Jesus. You just need Jesus. And a small group. And you need to come to church every week. Not for the Amish. The Amish, it's actually technically, and they don't technically, it's only you got to show up once every 18 months. I hope you knew that, Tim. Did you know that?
Yes. Oh, it works too. If you're not married. If you're married, she's going to have some other things to say about that.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Are you saying that Amish men go to church because of their wives?
If I were married, then that's why I would go to church, yes. More than once every 8. No, what is it?
18 months.
No, 6 months.
Something
Oh,
must be different for different churches then. Because how often is communion?
every 6 months.
Yeah. So you can skip 2 of them. You can actually, as long as you don't skip 3 of them, then you're fine. So what you do is you skip the first one, you're good. You skip the second one, you're good. And the third one just come the day before, come the day of, I think. And so technically you don't have to do it, for 18 months. All you got to do is just go ahead and come once every 18 months to church. And technically you're Amish. You're good. You won't get bond.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a foreign concept to a Baptist, like Baptists don't. Anyways, so remember here where there's a, you know, there's a gap here, right? So remember the gap there. So you have the gap here. You got to make the jump, but you can't make the jump because there's a ceiling. You can't see it though, right? There's no ceiling here, but there is a ceiling, but you can't see it. And I didn't realize that until recently. And it's based on how we think. Now, we can't actually think certain ways. Do you know why?
The brain, isn't it? The brain doesn't
It's
have two
actually
points to
because
connect
somebody
it.
hasn't healed from a hurt. This is why the Baptists want you to get hurt and not get healed, because if you can get hurt and not healed, then you won't grow. You can't grow because you've been hurt and not healed. So you can't, this thing, it seems like this disappears and you have freedom to make the jump if you can be healed. But
Wait,
people
are you
don't
for
want to be
real?
healed.
Actually? Okay.
Uh-huh. You didn't know that?
Sometimes I don't want to get over whatever happened,
That's exactly right. That's
but
what I'm
why
saying.
would I want? People want that for other people too, or what?
Oh yeah. No, no. If you're if you're if you're not healed, then you don't have to grow. And if you don't grow, you don't have to work. You don't have to work, and you don't have to go ahead and you don't have to work. You don't have to go ahead and take risk. You don't have to make sacrifices. So you can just go ahead and focus on your feelings, and your feelings can guide you. Your gut feel, your intuition. Some people say it's really good. Okay, copy that. Like maybe that's true. And so the quantum feeling model, I discovered that a couple years ago. And so feelings seem to be all connected into entitlement, self-righteousness, and victimhood. That's the downside. There's a vaccine for entitlement, that's thankfulness, but people don't want that. There's a vaccine for self-righteousness, that's called humility. People don't want that. I mean, if you're Baptist, again, I'm not bashing Baptist. I'm not going to say this about Amish because I'm not Amish. So I don't really have a position. I don't know why Baptists don't like me, right? But I'm just saying that you want to feel righteous without being righteous. You want to talk humility, where pastors of larger churches get up. It's the most fascinating thing in the world. They get up and they tell how all the other pastors are humble. I'm like, sheepers, that's a good system. I'll have to remember that. So what you can do in the future, Tim, I'm serious. Okay, we can try that in PD Church. I'm serious. Are you good at joking or not so much? No, I'm serious. Are you good at joking? You joke? Are you a jokester? No, I'm serious. Are you a jokester?
No, you're funny.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. We can do this and see. It would be really cool. We can try this in the
Okay,
BB.
tell me how. Tell me how. No, tell
So,
me how to do it. How are we
okay,
gonna
so
do it?
what you do is next week when there's other people on, or whenever if there's other people on, what you do is say, Mark, and you got to do it without laughing. You can't laugh because if you laugh, you ruin the whole thing. So you got to go ahead and say, Mark, it's got to be you got to be careful. You got to say, Mark, one of the things that I've noticed about you is you're so humble. Don't laugh. Do not laugh because that messes up the whole effect. Okay. So then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and say, thank you, Tim. And I'll respond in a humble way. And then we can seduce everybody in the church to think I'm humble. No, I'm going to return the favor, but not too quick. It's got to be just right. Like women do. Like, oh, that's a cute bonnet you have. Oh, that's a cute blouse you have. Just like women. Now, again, for all the pastors out there, I'm not saying you're women. I'm just saying this is how you do it. So what we do is we get everybody thinking. We do a little experiment, a test, like Solomon did, and test this out. So this will be fascinating to see if anybody. So the key is, the goal is, we don't want, you can't laugh, I can't laugh. So,
Okay, I'm
the
not
goal is that,
sure.
what's that?
Well, I guess I could do it without laughing, but I definitely can't
Kenny's,
do it on
Ken,
video. I won't have a straight
Kenny,
face.
yeah, Kenny's great at it. Like he's really good at doing it. That's where we want, in business, not that this is business, we're not about money here, but triangulation selling is so powerful for business, because then you just, you have three people. So if we had two people, like if I was telling you, you were, really humble, and you were telling me I was really humble, that's good. But what's even better is when Kenny gets on, and then you tell me, I go ahead and say something to Kenny about being humble. That way I'm not paying you back for paying me. And then Kenny tells everybody how you're humble, And if you're like, that sounds like a cult, Mark, right? I'm not saying all, and I didn't notice this. I didn't notice this in small churches because there's only one pastor. But it's funny. I mean, you think about this, you're like, dang. Like you can say dang, and I couldn't say it in growing up Baptist because dang is like a derivative of another word, and I couldn't say gosh or gee or darn. I could say, oh my goodness, that's okay. Like that's okay to say, oh my goodness, but not the other thing. And so, so if you just got a pastor of one, well, that's hard for that pastors of one, like my dad, he was a pastor of one. And so he had to be a lot better at it to go ahead and get people to do it. And then the third is a victim, and that's to take ownership. So the vaccine, again, feelings that become selfish, self-centered, self-absorbed, narcissistic. But if you can get a lot of those people together, oh my goodness, it's like heaven on earth. It's just pretty crazy. Anyways, okay. So let's
What
get back to
can I do? We have time to figure out why do pastors do that? And not just pastors, but people in general.
well.
Why?
So here,
Why are we blowing up each other's balloons?
why do women do it?
I don't know. I don't.
Okay, I
I
can
don't
explain women to you.
understand.
So as a woman, you want to feel beautiful.
Feel beautiful.
Uh huh. As a man, you want to feel strong. And so a woman wants to feel beautiful. So when you go to another woman and you say, "Oh, that's a beautiful brooch you have," that's a beautiful bonnet you have, that's a beautiful blouse you have, those are beautiful shoes you have, whatever you say to a woman, then she feels good about herself because it's connected back into it. So a woman knows that when you say that to another woman, it's likely that that woman's going to reciprocate. So you make her feel good and she feels good and you both feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Is that partially what selflessness is? No. Does that play into that? Or
You mean
selfless
selfless
selfishness?
selfishness?
Like being
What's
selfless for selfish reasons, basically.
right, right. The first white paper, like you read it, maybe. Like, wow, he read something. Fascinating. Good. I don't think so. I think selfishness is I'm selfish. I get that. Everything I do is selfish. I get that. Um, and so why am I doing like how do it's fascinating to me, Tim, like in leadership. Like other people, I don't know, they're doing whatever they're doing to get something, let's say from Mark. Mark's a victim. Mark's not being a victim. Because I say I'm not a victim, that must mean I'm not a victim. Like, it's fascinating to me. Like, women have this God complex. It's like, I'm not being this. And it's like, okay, copy that. Is there any evidence? Anyways, like, I'm pushing people in life and business, in life and business, I'm pushing people for their own benefit. You might be asking, Mark, are you rethinking that position, after 62 years? I am. Like my son Ben, who's 27, he's like, Dad, why don't you get an RV and just go to, Florida and play pickleball, all winter? I'm starting to think that actually, I'm starting to think like, I don't know. Anyways, but it's addictive. Feelings are actually addictive. Anyways, let's go back to this. Okay.
So the women do that to make themselves feel good, but why do pastors do it now? To make
Same thing
themselves
to
feel
make
humble.
themselves feel good. Yeah. Pastors tend to go ahead and be, pastors tend to go ahead and be, and there's a book out there, Why Men Hate Going to Church. Great book. Pastors don't like reading it. What you'd think they would like reading that book? Because it's like, well, I would want to know why men don't want to go to church. Like, so why men hate going to church? There's a book out there. I read it, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 years ago, maybe longer. Somebody recommended it to me. Man, it's a good book. It explains a lot. So pastors statistically, there's statistics that pastors tend to be more analytic amiable, very strong amiable, very strong analytic. Now, mega churches, the big ones, they tend to be more expressive. So they tend to be more expressive.
Who tends to be more expressive?
The pastors of big churches.
Big churches. Got it.
Yeah, really big churches. Like Pastor James McDonald, there were like, I don't know, 12 to 15,000 people every Sunday that would listen to him preach. The guy was magical. He really was. I liked him a lot. But he was an expressive driver personality. Not a lot of those. He founded a church and it was there for, I don't know, 25 years, and then they kicked him out of his own church that he founded, which I'm not saying they were wrong in what they did. Like some of the things he did might have been a little questionable, but you're supposed to forgive, 7 times 70. Like, did he sin 490 times? Like, I know, I'm just joking with you all you Baptists out there. It's like, Mark, that's not the point. 400. The point is, you just forgive all the time. Do you? Is that what you're saying? So if I whack you on the face, are you going to forgive me? Do I get to whack you 490 times? Well, so anyways, so yeah, the pastors tend to be amiable and analytic. So what they want is they want people to like them, and they want people to think they're smart. English pastors. I'm not saying bishops. I'm not saying bishops. Bishops
Is
and
that if they want to look smart? Is that why they
what
have
could
to tell each
what
other
could
how humble they are?
what possibly could go wrong with that? Just saying. Like what could go wrong with that, Mark? Right? Like it's just, I don't know. I think it's funny. Other people may say you have a weird sense of humor. So my dad, you know, he's on hospice, so he's got, I don't know, 6 months to live. And my mom got on hospice because she got, cancer. Like it's just weird. There's so many stories that are really cool around that. I mean, one of the things I realized what I love most about death is it seems to awaken people, but just for a short period of time. Then they go back into their zombie state. It's weird. And so my dad, for his whole life, his adult life, was a pastor, and he'd get up in front of people and he'd tell them how he's no better than a worm. And there's this young lady that I knew, a little younger than me. No, she's a little older, maybe. I don't know, maybe my. Anyways, I was talking to her, and after my dad died, and she came back into my life, and she said, "Oh, I loved your dad. I loved your dad." I'm like, okay. He was such a nice man. I'm like, okay. And I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying it's interesting. And I don't know if I asked her, she just told me. She said once, you know, once, like PB Church is a little irreverent. Okay. It seems like it's disrespectful. And I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. So he's on a ladder. I said, she says, yeah, once I remember him on a ladder. And, and, uh, and she was attractive, so she's an attractive young lady. I don't know. He was probably in his 50s or 60s, and she was probably in her, I don't know, 20s, 30s. And so he's on a ladder, and she's like, Mr. Boersma, you're just so amazing, and this and this and this. and and he's like, yeah, I'm no better than anybody else. I'm just a worm. I'm just I'm like, I have struggles with temptation. And so I'm like, she didn't go further. She didn't ask him further. Like, I don't know. So uh guys out there that are listening to this, personally, I would not go ahead and recommend with women. Like, like I wouldn't go ahead and tell women like I'm having a hard time with lust. Personally, I wouldn't recommend that. That seems a little weird to me. Like maybe a little bit too much information. So I wouldn't do it. Women, if a man says, I'm having a hard time with lust, you might want to be a little cautious about that guy. Right? He might be a predator. I don't know. Maybe he's just being transparent. I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just observing. Anyways, so my dad, like he was just being a goofball in the last months of his life, just a goofball. And once we're driving home from my mom, who's in the hospital, they gave her 2 to 6 months to live. She was in worse shape than he was. They were healthy their whole life. So 8 healthy, really healthy people. And I don't know, once I'm like, Dad, he's like, I'm like, Dad, you're such a goofball. Like you just, I don't know, you just don't get it. And he goes and crunches up his shoulders and he looks down and he's all shriveled up. He says, Mark, if what you're saying is true, then I'm no better than a worm. I'm like, really, Dad? You've been saying that for how many years in front of the pulpit, and you're going to try to manipulate. He was an amiable analytic. You're going to try to manipulate me now, Dad? You go, that's not going to work, Dad. Thank you for validating you're a goofball. I'm not saying he's a bad dad. I'm just saying that. So, yeah, a lot of men are going to be amiable. A lot of pastors are going to be amiable analytics. And so they, yeah. Anyway, so here, going back to this, there's a healing project that we're working on. And so if you can get back into the childhood potential, that's where I think a lot of it happens. So there's something called disassociation, and it's connected with sexual abuse often. And often boys or girls will be sexually abused when they're kids and they don't even remember it. You also get into the fourth generation from the third and fourth generation. Now, Alvin Miller, he said that there's something in the Bible where you're not supposed to say that. So I asked him to send that over. I haven't gotten it yet. And so I'm not sure about that. So anyways, there's a ceiling. So you got to go ahead and get rid of the ceiling. And pastors groups don't want you to get rid of the ceiling. So that's what I'm working on now.
What does that ceiling consist of? What does it look like in real life? Is it other people? Is it everything? Generational issues?
It's us. We have our own ceilings, but like let's say that
we ourselves, we put them there, is what you're saying.
Well, it's complicated. Other people might put them there, but we might accept that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
So termites, I guess they jump, or gnats. And if you put termites or gnats in a glass jar and then put cellophane over the top and they try to jump out, but after 5 or 10 minutes, you can pull off the cellophane and they won't jump out. Now, you might be saying, well, what does that have to do with me as a human being? Are you saying, Mark, I'm like a termite? I got the mind of a termite? I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I disagree with you if that's the conclusion you come to. I'm just saying that it's fascinating. So it seems like we don't heal, and when we don't heal, we don't grow. So I think the thing that's most dangerous to Christians is when they think they're growing, but maybe not so much. They think they're changing. They think they're learning, growing, but not so much. And so groups, they don't want you to grow beyond the group. So what they do is churches use typically, in my experience, in Baptist, in my experience, what they do is leverage, they use membership. So if you're a member, then you have to go by certain rules. And that's how they use to control you. They use women and children as human shields. What I mean by that is that you as a man know that you can't question a pastor, bishop, probably minister. I don't know. I'm not speaking for the Amish. I'm just saying you can't question people in authority, because if you do question people in authority, they're going to harm your wife and children. So they use women and children to go ahead and control you as a man. Interesting, right?
That's actually sounds scary, but okay.
For who? Who's
The
it
whole
sound
family.
scary for? Right? Right? Like this is where churches and pastors, again, I'm not speaking for bishops or ministers in the Amish or any other group. I can speak for for Baptists because I grew up Baptist. My dad was a Baptist pastor. So that's why people in a group, the most dangerous person in a group to a group is somebody who's been in that group and no longer in that group, you know? So when people say, where do you go to church? I can go ahead and say, this is this church, because I just apply the Amish rule. All I have to do is show up every 18 months and I'm a member of that group. It's not lying, it's just applying rules. Like it's just fascinating. And so yeah, the group. So when I started going to church that I go to now, I do it more. Don't get me wrong. I do it more than once every 18 months. And so again, the PB church does not replace your church. It doesn't. It doesn't profess to. It doesn't recommend it. You still should go to church, I think. I mean, it's up to you, but I think you should. I still do. Anyways, so when I started going to this new church, it was just my wife and I knew that I had to be careful because I didn't want my wife to be harmed by the pastors and the other women in the church. And what's fascinating is the pastors will get up and there's, I don't know, 750 people. There's a lot of people go to this church. They get up and they just go ahead and say, they say, we want you to feel safe in the church. I don't feel safe in the church. And it's fascinating because you'd think if you're going to say, I want you to feel safe in the church, that if you went up and say, I don't feel safe in the church, what would you think a pastor would say about that?
Probably depends which pastor.
What would be a godly thing to say?
What's wrong?
I would think so. I mean, is that really, do you really need to go to seminary to go ahead and figure that out? I would say, really, Mark, that's intriguing. Like, why would you say that? And then listen. But they don't. They teach you. They teach you very quickly. So I would go up like, when I went to this new church, I'd go up like, I don't know, not every week, but at least once or twice a month, and I'd go up and talk to the pastor. But then he trained me, don't ask him questions. So I learned, don't ask him questions. So I didn't. And then I'd go up to the other pastors, and there's like 6 of them. And every single one of them said they were going to do something, and they didn't do what they said they were going to do. To me, that's a lack of integrity. I'm not going to name the church because it could be any church, every church. Like Edward Rivera, a friend of mine, he was a business guy and then became a pastor at, through Free Bible Institute. And I was talking to him once, and I said, that pastor just irritating. Like, why is that? I said, they don't have any integrity. He's like, why do you say that? I said, they say they're going to do things that they don't do. To me, it's just weird. It's just weird. He's like, well, Mark, they're humans like everybody else. I'm like, really? Like, really? You're going to do that? Like, is that what they teach you at Moody Bible Institute? Defend the groups. Yeah, that's what they teach you. And so I said, Edward, like, you and I have known each other. We've been friends and business people. Like, he's a business client of ours, like, and a friend. And I said, we've known each other for what, 20 years? He's like, yeah. And I said, have I ever said that I was going to do something I didn't do? I didn't know what the answer was. Like Kenny, Kenny Bontrager. Like, I've known him for 4 years. And there was, I don't know, about a month or a couple months ago, I asked him, I said, we were on this conversation somehow. And I said, Kenny, is there anything I've ever said that I was going to do that I didn't do? And he says, yeah. I said, really? That was exciting to me. Because I'm like, wow. I said, what is it that, I said I was going to do that I didn't do? He said, well, you mentioned that you were going to give my parents a gift and show appreciation for how much they invested in my life. And, you didn't do that. It was so cool. I'm like, okay. I mean, I remember that conversation and I didn't do it. I was thinking a little different, but he was thinking I said I was going to do it. So I'm like, okay, so can I do it now? He's like, sure. And I'm like, it's not going to have any negative ramifications on you or anybody else. Like, I don't think so. I'm like, okay. So I did. I mean, I didn't do it. I had Elaine do it, but I did. I mean, I directed it to be done and it was done. And so as far as I know, 4 years with Kenny, and there's, one thing that I said I was going to do that I didn't do, got that fixed. Okay, good. Like, I don't know. It's so weird to me. It's just weird. Like, it's just like, how can people go ahead and do that? And I'm telling you one other thing, like about the Amish, I will tell you, it's interesting to me because it seems like the more successful an Amish business owner is, a man who's an Amish business owner, the more successful he is, the more he feels that he can ignore you. He can say he's going to do something, doesn't do it, or he can just ignore you, put his head in the sand. Like, if you say something he doesn't like, if you challenge him in ways he doesn't like to challenge, he'll just ignore you. Is that common, Tim, in your experience?
Yes, I haven't really looked at it that way, but yes, I have noticed.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Tim. No,
noticed.
I just got carried away with myself. So at 30 minutes, we do 30 minutes. So PB Church is 30 minutes. Anything beyond 30 minutes is a gift from you to me to you, and us to one another. So I should have dismissed all of you. You can all go. You can all go. You don't have to stick around. I guess Tim has time. I have tons of time. And so, sorry, go ahead. So yeah, if you're listening to this podcast, leave. Just leave if you got other stuff to do. I know it's a little intoxicating. like believe in strong drink mentally. Like, it's like, this is fascinating. I don't know. I find it to be fascinating. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Tim.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's weird to me because it's like, it's a small community. I live in this community. What do you think I'm going to do? You think I'm going to forget? You think I'm going to forget? You think like how many people, how many people go ahead and, make fry pies, like 300,000 fry pies a year? Like, you think I'm going to forget that? You think, like, when you see me someday, when you see me someday, what are you going to do? Just act as if nothing happened? Is that what you do? Like, I'm curious. Like, is that what the Amish do? Is they, you know, they like when you go ahead and are they so weak that if you challenge them, that they're just going to crumple up and they're just going to like pretend that you don't exist? Like, it's a small community. We're going to run into, especially if you're in business. We're gonna run into each other. It's not a matter of if. It's just a matter of when and how. And when we run into each other, I mean, do you think I'm gonna just? Am I not supposed to ask, like, hey, dude, like, you haven't returned the last, 7 calls that I've had, and your wife was like, scripturally, you said you were going to do something, you didn't do it. Okay, you didn't do it, and you use your wife as an excuse. Like, is that something else that in the Amish that men do? They use their wives as scapegoats to get out of things, because the Bible doesn't say it. The Bible says, like, your yea be yea, your nay nay. That's what you're supposed to do. Not yea with an explanation, nay with an explanation. It's yea yea, yes yes, no no. That's what it says. And then, but the Bible also said that if your wife makes a commitment or your kids make a commitment to do something, again, say they're going to do something and they don't do it, then the husband he can't do it 10 years later. When he hears about it, he has to say, no, that's not going to happen. Or with the kids, no, that's not. The husband has the ability to override a wife's commitment. He can do that, and to the children. But it never says there's anything in the Bible where a wife can override the husband. Do they teach that in the Amish or not so much?
Not so much. I think it's
That
a general,
explains it. That
like
explains it.
one rule.
That explains a lot. Copy that. So if you approach somebody like a guy, a man, if you approach a man with that and say, hey, dude, you're not being biblical. You're emasculating yourself. Like, you're not being a real man. Like, if you said that to an Amish man, what would he say?
Well, I don't know about men. I only know about boys like above the age of 16. A lot of Amish boys are, not a lot, but a few that I know are terrible like that. I don't know how to handle it. Like,
What do
I
you mean
just quit
terrible?
asking for stuff, quit asking for favors or help them to, even if it was a paying job, they weren't dependable. It was they said, yeah, sure, and then never show up to
Do you
whatever.
think
I
they
just
get
don't.
that from their dads and uncles and other men? Do you think that they're getting it and saying, well, they're not doing what they're saying they're going to do, so I don't have to do what I say I'm going to do? Do you think that they get it modeled to them from other men?
Yeah, because they do
Okay.
it. They say yes so smoothly and confidently and never show up. So you can't just not learn that and still know it.
Huh.
The smooth, it's almost deceitful. I don't know.
Fascinating. Right. Like, that's a lie. That's lacking integrity. And this is something that the amiables, the pastors do. The amiables do a lot of is they tell you yes, and then they don't follow through, and then they have good reasons why they don't follow through. And it's like, that's lying. If you say you're going to do something, you don't do it. That's lying. That's lacking integrity. But I think the amiable thinks that if I have a good explanation of why I didn't do something, then then it's okay.
But
Which is,
yeah, I've definitely plenty of that already. But how do you fix it?
well,
Go
like,
up
you
and
put
break.
yourself out there and you make yourself vulnerable, like I have, And it's like if there's anybody listening to this podcast, and you know Mark, and you know me, and I've ever said I was going to do something that I didn't do, I want you to tell me, because I want to get it fixed. Like Kenny, like that situation, I didn't really realize. I mean, I could see why he thought I was going to do something, because we talked about it. I wasn't sure if that was going to hurt him. Like, I wasn't sure. Like, if I get, it's kind of weird, where get his parents a gift and say, hey, thank you for investing everything into Kenny. I've been a beneficiary of that. I wanted to thank you. Like, that probably doesn't happen real frequently. So I was thinking, I was kind of considering Kenny, but maybe not. I mean, he thought, so I did it. And it was, nothing terrible happened as far as I know. So I think it's all good. I mean, I'm just being thankful. I'm being thankful for what they invested. I mean, nobody's ever done that for me and my kids. And I thought it'd be nice. Like, one of my sons work at Grand Design, and it would be, and he's a good worker. Like, he works hard. Like, he's a good worker. And so, it'd be really cool. They would win a lot of points with me. I mean, that would just mean a lot if they went ahead. And I don't expect them. I mean, there was one guy, construction guy did builder, and he went ahead and my youngest son was working for him. And I said, hey, how's he doing? He's like, he's a good worker. I'm like, okay. And he said, but that Jonathan, that your oldest son, my gracious, that guy is a monster. I'm like, oh, that meant a lot to me. And so, yeah, you invest a lot into your kids. And so if you're a business owner, again, we're not talking business, but if you're a business owner and you have good, employees, good people, I mean, be thankful to the parent, because the parent probably invested a whole lot of energy and time into doing it. Not always, but often. Anything else you have today, sir?
No, sir. I'm all rested up.
Are you rested? Okay, there you go. Copy that. Glad you're on. Like,
ready for another week.
Right. So if you want to heal, do you think you want to heal?
Sometimes I'm tired of hurting, so yes. But then other times I realize if I do heal, it's on to the next step. So maybe I'm lazy.
See, this is one of the things I like about you. There's a lot that I don't. Don't get me wrong, but there's.
I know.
Right. There's a lot. I mean, and again, this isn't about business, but he's a good plumber. So if you need a plumber, Tim's a good plumber. Just saying, that's what it is. But so one of the things I like about you is, like, there's things you're stupid at. You just lack so much self-awareness. You're not supposed to say that, but you can in the PB church. Just be honest, right? You're stupid. But like, not very many people know what you just said. Very few people. Almost nobody's, I don't know, there might be one or two people that have said to me what you've just said, but you said it, and I was like, man, that guy's smart. Like, or aware of something. So I think that's what it is. It's like, so I'm going to get over this challenge. And then what am I going to do? I'm going to get a bigger challenge. Mark, you're 62 years old. You've been working your tail off since you were 12 years old, probably before that. But why would you want to continue to grow? Why would you continue to want adversity? Why would you continue? Like, why? Right? So I think that's why people don't want to grow, Tim, is they subconsciously, but you know it at a conscious level, which makes it actually more, I think you're more accountable than other people, because you have the awareness that, well, if I fix this issue, I'm just going to have to go on to another issue. And I think that's what being a Christian is all about. I think that's what being a Christ follower is all about. I think that's what being created in the image of God is all about, is growing. Like, you're growing. If you're not growing, then you're dying. And I think one of the greatest deceptions normal traditional churches do is, if you come to church, the more you come to church, the more you're growing. And I don't think that's true necessarily. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying, like, is somebody out there listening to this and saying, Mark, let me get this straight. Are you saying that, you know, the most drug addicted people in the world are people who go to church, and all the churches out there are opium dens spiritually? Like, there's so much spiritual masturbation and so much opium, so much drug addiction, so much self indulgence, so much of everything. Is that what you're saying? I didn't say that. I did not say that. If you said that, if somebody said that, like, it's an opium den, it's a spiritual opium den. A whole bunch of people get together and we're all good because we're together. And the world is evil out there and we're good because we're together. And you come and you give and you participate and you do all of this stuff. And so are you saying that traditional churches are just spiritual opium dens? I didn't say that. But if somebody were to ask me that, say, Mark, do you think this is true? I said, I wouldn't disagree with that. I'm not, just because I don't disagree doesn't mean I'm agreeing with it. You get to make that determination. See, that's where this is a little bit different than regular churches. I think a lot of regular churches, the pastor wants you to think what they think. In PB Church, you should be focusing in on thinking what God wants you to think. You should be interested in the truth. So, Tim, if you want to heal, if you want to grow, email me and ask me for the healing exercise. We're doing some testing in it, and so yeah, email me and say, hey, Mark, can you give me that thing on PB Church about healing? And if you're listening to the rebroadcast, you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in the session. If you'd like to heal, you can call toll free 888-230-2300, or you can call her back 630-393-9909 and say you'd like the healing exercise. Text that or email. If you have my email, text that and say you'd like that, and I'll go ahead and get that out to you. Always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Having a meeting. Bye-bye. Okay, so here's something here. Always come early and always stay late, because that's where the real good stuff is, okay? The earlier you come, after you come, that's where the good stuff is. So Tim, after we were done with the church, he and I are hanging out, and he said, just between you and I. Well, I'm not going to make it just between you and I. Why should we just gain benefit and all of you not? So go ahead, Tim.
Okay. The knowledge of knowing if one faces and conquers a challenge or a current challenge in one's life and knows there's a bigger one lay behind that, so decides not to tackle the smaller challenge. Is that actually not common knowledge that was mentioned earlier in a different recording?
Do you think that when you find a golden nugget that you throw that golden nugget away to get a piece of gravel to support your ego?
I'm not connecting these dots.
Yeah, that happens a lot with the express or the analytic and amiable. Analytic, especially. So Tim is deeply analytic. So is he trying to create a distraction? Often analytics do. So he had the golden nugget. It was right in his hand. And do you know what that golden nugget was, Tim?
The challenge? The challenge is the golden nugget, or the fruit of the challenge?
What's the what challenge?
Any challenge.
No, the golden nugget was for you to do something. See, the analytic, they like to talk and think. They like to think they're smart, talk they're smart. They like to do all of that. They like to do that, but they don't want to do anything because there's risk in doing something. So the golden nugget was, you acknowledged on the podcast, which was pretty interesting to me, very interesting. You knew that you were hurting. You just said, I'm tired of hurting. Like, okay, that makes sense. And so then you explained why, because you're lazy. You don't want to grow. Okay. And then I gave you, well, then text or email. And just email me and just say, hey, Mark, I'd like that healing exercise. Why do you think you just won't get off of this? Just immediately email me and say, hey, I'd like that healing exercise. Why do you think you won't do that?
Because I don't want it.
Right. That seems stupid to me. Because I think the reason you don't want it, you know why you don't want it?
Because it takes energy, time.
No, because you don't have a fear of God.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, some amount of truth, right? Could be 1% or 99%. You're curious, you'd be like, what do you mean, Mark?
I'm definitely not saying you're wrong, but what do you mean?
Right. That's a curious person. So when my wife and I did a Bible study on the parable of the talents, and so that's another. This is why you stayed late. Like, I don't know. I'm ready to go on. I got a bunch of other stuff I could do. Not working. It's a Sunday. But like, and the parable of the talents, if you really study that, have you really studied the parable of the talents? You know, like the
Well,
5, 3, and 1? You're familiar with that one, right?
yes, I know. I don't know the
Yeah.
fine details. I know the spirit of the story.
Right. So, in the fine details of that, the one, the master said, so you and I are the servants. The master said, I'm going to take the one from you and I'm going to rip it apart from you and I'm going to give it to the one who has 10. That's not the fine details. That's what most people know. Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's not hard. What's hard is if you look at I don't know if it's the original language or just look at the book. Like the original language is not the King James version. That's not the original. It's the Greek and the Hebrew. So I don't know if you have to go into that. Maybe you do, but you can do now with the internet really super easy. And so you go ahead and look at the original language. And the master says the language is, I'm going to cast you into outer darkness, meaning I'm going to cast you into hell. It's literally, that's what it is. So let me get this straight. If I'm not a good steward with what God gives me, I'm going to go ahead and be sent to hell. They don't teach that in the Baptists at all. There's nothing at all about that at all. Nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. 40 years, 3 days a week, going to church, never heard that. Not once. There's not a pastor out there that I've ever heard say something like that. Like, so if that's the case, if we're not good stewards with what we've been given, then the little that we've been given hasn't been turned into much. And so for all of eternity, somebody else might have what we could have had and we didn't have it. I mean, so you don't have a fear of God. It seems to me, if you had a fear of God, you'd want to be healed. Like, you have to be healed. Because if you're not healed, you're not a follower of Christ. It would seem like to me, if you're not willing to do the work to get healed, then you're going to hell. It seems like, I'm not saying that's true. That's not what the Baptists are taught. Like the PB Church doesn't tell you what the Bible says. The the PB Church asks hard questions and digs in and says, dang, I never heard that before in church. Like it challenges. You get to decide what it means to you. So you get to decide what it means to you. You do. And so, but I think if you had a higher fear of God, I think that you would go ahead. Um, I think that you would go ahead and email me that and say, hey, give me that healing exercise. I mean, what have you got to lose? So I was looking at the Amish directory a few months back, and I didn't realize the Amish directory had, like the Amish, I didn't realize how much Catholicism was in the Amish. I didn't realize that. I'm like, wow, I did not know that. But then a lot of it made sense. So, I mean, there's this one young Amish guy that I know, and he was having a discussion. He's in Roomspringer, and he was having a discussion. To, he went to, he went to help out with a wedding or something, and his dad got really ticked because he wasn't in Amish clothing. And he said to his dad something about, like, you think my clothing is going to make a difference if I get to heaven or hell? And his dad said it could. There's another guy, young guy I know, that's just fascinating. I don't know the full story, so I'm just giving pieces of it. But like, there's a bishop. He was working on some type of work crew or something, and there's this bishop, I think, that was there, and he's all, I don't know, doing whatever goofy stuff about one of the workers having a T-shirt. It's just like, is that? I'm not judging. It's just weird. I'd love to ask that bishop and say, is that the most important thing that you're concerned about? Are you concerned about his eternity? Are you concerned about is his healing? Or are you concerned about the t-shirt that he's wearing? Like, like to me, that's not a very mature bishop. That's a pretty immature bishop, if you ask me. And that bishop that I talked to, he went ahead and had this crazy cool story about he was so remorseful. He wasted 30 years of his life, but then he got it, and now he's on track. And it's like, if you're worried about a T-shirt versus somebody's eternity, I don't think you're a very mature bishop. That seems like that's a very, very immature bishop. It seems to me. Like, I'm just like, dude, like, and this guy might not even be a Christian, might not be a follower of Christ because he's not growing, because he's been hurt, and he doesn't want to be healed because nobody's ever explained it to him that you might be going to hell. Based on that scripture, if you're not a good steward of your talent, you might be going to hell. But there's another passage. Again, you don't hear this at regular church. You can tell it's after church because during church, Mark's a lot nicer. After church, holy cow. Like, it says, what's bound on earth is bound in heaven. What's loosed on earth is loosed in heaven. What in the world does that mean? I don't know. But it's like, if we don't get healed, are we going to be limited for all of eternity? That sounds like hell to me. Like, we can't grow, we can't change, we can't become more like God. Are we going to be like God when we die? The Baptists don't teach that. Well, what are you going to be like? They don't talk a lot about that. So to me, the most important thing, Tim, like, I don't understand why you wouldn't ask. You just text or just email me and just say, Mark, I want that. I like, it's mind-boggling to me, but I understand you're an analytic, and so you go ahead. I praise you and say, wow, you're really smart because you know it, but you're really stupid. Honestly, you're really stupid if you know something and you don't do something with it. That's stupid. That's just because you're no longer ignorant. Like, if you didn't know what you knew, then you'd be ignorant. I don't know if that's a good reason God's going to be like, oh, you were ignorant. I don't know. Not like those Baptists that know everything. Questions?
Yeah. What's
Okay,
your
go ahead.
email?
It's M as in Mark, BOERSMA, the number 5 at gmail.com. So that's MBOERSMA, the number 5 at gmail.com. Now, some of you might be thinking, dang, he's giving out his email, his personal email. Don't worry, there are not going to be very many people that take me up on this. I mean, in the podcast, will they put where you can actually get the healing exercise? I mean, I hope they do, but maybe they won't. But that healing exercise is really, really cool. But I think you're going to need somebody. So whoever passes along to you, get 2 buddies, get one, what they call an art mentor, atomic ripple reaction tree. Like, if we're really followers of Christ, like, think about an infinite God, like he's indwelled us. Like, well, like, what is our ability? I don't know. It's got to be pretty substantial. And so, So you want to have somebody else, because my guess is I think like Tim, I think he'll go ahead and maybe fill it out. And so, but will he drive it forward? I don't know. I mean, Tim knows me pretty well, so he knows that I'll probably, when we run into each other, we used to run into each other every month. Now we don't. But when we run into each other, we'll see each other. We'll be playing volleyball or something. And so it wouldn't be shocking to Tim if we're playing volleyball. I say, hey, Tim, how you doing on healing on that exercise? Like, like that wouldn't be shocking to Tim, because he's not the only one that's not healing. He's not the only one that feels, I'm so tired of the pain. Yeah. Yipper. Anything else, Tim, you got?
It for some reason stopped. I was trying to send
Okay.
an email.
Yeah, no worries. That's the thing I wondered about. Like, does the devil have the capability to influence like the internet or other things? I don't know. It's kind of weird to me sometimes, where that kind of stuff happens. But um, so again, this is a good example for everybody. This is why you come early and stay late, because this kind of magical stuff happens. Like, it's really powerful, not only for Tim, but Tim's given everybody a wonderful gift. Like, okay, so not very many people do, but Tim knows, like, the reason I don't want to go ahead and heal, because if I do, I'm just going to get a bigger challenge and then I'm just going to have more pain. Why do that? I get that. I totally get that. Like, I'm just dumb enough to say, give me the next pain. Like, bring it on. Really? Uh-huh. So that's kind of weird. I'm telling you. So, anyways, we'll go ahead and I think we're done, but we'll see. Anything else you have, Tim?
No.
Okay.